Good afternoon, grinders. This is your MLB SimLabs analysis for Wednesday, May 7th. I'm Jordan Cooper, aka BlenderHD. BlenderHD. If you want to follow me on Twitter, give me the thumbs. You know how much I like those. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell to know when we go live. We got Grinders Live and Crunch Time later today. Definitely tune into Crunch Time. We have some weather that may be a problem today on this 7-game MLB slate. Looks like the Yankees game is most likely going to play. The Braves game most likely going to play. And unlike yesterday, Roth, although he has it as yellow, thinks that the Colorado game should play even with a few showers around. The problem is the White Sox Royals game. He has his orange and messy on and off scattered downpours most of the night. It's possible this just gets early postponed, so we don't have to worry about it. But it's a 7:40 p.m. Eastern game, so tune into Crunch Time around 6:15, 6:20 here on the channel. And Doppler Boy, right? If you know about the song, Kevin Roth will fill you in with the radar updates, and that's going to matter a lot because the Royals are one of the top stacks on the slate. But I first go to SimLabs, looked at optimal versus projected ownership pitching-wise on the slate. The pitching options are pretty condensed, I think. Nothing really breaks the bank so much. I mean, Hunter Green, we have as the highest projected pitcher on the slate at 9,800. About 3 points clear about any other pitcher. Christian Sanchez, number 2. Then we get Max Fried, Grant Holmes at 7,400 is kind of like maybe not the cheaper option because Tristan Sanchez is 7,500. And then we got some like Jose Barrios. We don't know about Michael Wacha against the White Sox if that Royals game does not play. Dylan Cease, I guess, okay. Optimal rate-wise, one stands out amongst the bunch, and that's Hunter Green at 9,800. 46.8% chance of being optimal. And we have his projected ownership at 39%. So even though he's going to be the chalkiest pitcher on the slate, he actually may be a little bit under-owned. And then we have like Christian Sanchez and Grant Holmes and Max Fried to some extent over-owned. Christian Sanchez, 25% chance of being optimal. But we have his ownership at closer to 36, 37%. Grant Holmes, we have as 10% chance of being optimal, but 27% projected owned. So Grant Holmes is quite a bit over-owned today. Under-owned, Jose Barrios at 8,500, 16% chance of being optimal. We have his projected ownership is only 10%. I think that holds around there, 10 to 15%. I think Barrios could be bit of a contrarian option today. And then cheap-wise, I mean, a lot of people will be playing Grant Holmes, but we have Jackson Job's projection. I know that, they're playing in Colorado, but the Rockies are not a very good team. 4.39 implied run total. Not the greatest of strikeout upside for Job, but can he give a quality performance and get 12, 14 points? We have his median projection pretty decently for 6,700 and a 23% chance of being optimal. So you can see here at only 10, 11% owned, he is under-owned on the slate. So I'm assuming we'll be getting a decent amount of Green and Job lineups, and especially if you want to play some of the more expensive stacks, you may have to pay down a bit at pitcher, especially if you're playing Hunter Green. So although it looks, it looks, you typically don't want to play pitchers in Colorado, but I wouldn't mind taking a shot on Jackson Job today. On the top MLB stacks tool that we have here for premium members on the slate, Detroit, obviously 5.61 implied team total in Colorado. Highest projected stack on the slate, optimal rate close to 20%. But a lot of these stacks are kind of expensive today. Detroit, Cincinnati against Grant Holmes, 14.86% chance of being optimal, and not that much ownership. And Cincinnati did not work out the other day for me. They got one hit. You could give it a shot. I mean, they are expensive. They only have a 3.64 implied run total. So that would be like the leverage stack of the day. And from a value perspective, Kansas City, if that game plays, they will be considerable chalk today with a 5.17 implied run total against Cannon. So if you want the cheap stack, vomit stack of the day is the Royals, but they also will be pretty decently owned if that game plays. I almost would rather just not play, right? So I don't even have to worry about it. So like the top value stack is gone, and it's going to make people be a bit, they may take some. I think Grant Holmes. If Kansas City's not on the slate, people are going to try to find some cheaper pitching, and maybe they'll play more Grant Holmes than Jackson Jobe, maybe less Jose Berrios, definitely less Max Fried. So maybe it makes it a little bit more of an interesting strategic slate if the Royals do not play today. And then the remaining teams that have a decent chance at being optimal: Phillies against Baz at 10%, Baltimore against Richardson at 8%, and then Toronto and Minnesota against Kikuchi and Morton about 7%. But we have them as a little bit overowned. But let's see what SimLabs says. I'm playing single entry today. I'm playing one lineup. I'm playing a 5-man stack. I'm going to run 150 lineups. Let's see what happens in SimLabs through our 10,000 plus simulations of the slate. It works pretty damn fast for how many lineups comes out. 150 lineups, a couple of seconds. Remember, you don't even have to. I'm playing single entry. Oh, why am I making 150 lineups? Well, I can still see what comes out. I can pick and choose lineups that I want to consider and possibly play. Looking at the exposures tab over on starting pitcher, obviously a ton of Hunter Green, a metric ton of Hunter Green, a lot of Christian Sanchez. The next is Dylan Cease against the Yankees, 4.59 implied run total. I don't expect him to be all that owned today. We have his ownership at about 11%. I think it may actually be lower than that. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised, especially in single entry. Maybe that comes in closer to like 8%, 7%. So, I wouldn't mind that. And not as much Jackson Jobe as I thought. I mean, obviously it depends on what like stacks and one-offs you use price-wise. And then on teams, a ton of the Royals. I mean, I expected that. A ton of the Royals. 5-point implied run total, and their lineup is cheap. It's really cheap. And then we got the Twins, we got the Tigers, we got the Orioles. The Twins are pretty cheap also, right? Right, the Twins, the Tigers are expensive. But let's maybe that game doesn't. I'm gonna put it in. I'm gonna go into SimLabs. I'm gonna take away some of take away some of the Kansas City stacks and see what shows up. Like just if the Royals don't play, obviously a lot of this ownership changes if that game gets postponed, and then some of the numbers change. Maybe not on pitching because Walker is really not all that owned, and obviously Cannon is barely. You probably misclick if all the 1% owned. That's all the misclick lineups. So I'm going to go into settings, and you could do this in SimLabs. You could lock team stacks, exclude team stacks, players, whatever. So I'm going to exclude Kansas City and see to replace those 40% of lineups and see what comes up more than not. In the case that the Royals do not play. Now, the closer gets to lock and we don't have information, that it actually may lower the ownership of the Royals. So if you want to do kind of the meta opposite, now obviously if a game gets postponed before lock, you're not playing. We don't have to worry about any of this. But if it gets closer to 7:05 p.m. Eastern and the Royals game, they already got people in the ballpark and it's looking dicey. People may not be as inclined to take shots on the Royals value stack. And with one of the higher implied team totals in GPP, I'd kind of play the Royals as stack only, right? Don't play one-offs. So if you do get burned, your whole lineup gets burned. Like if you play 5 lineups, I wouldn't be playing Pascantino in one line as a one-off, right? Because if that game gets postponed or whatever, then you just get it just a 0-0, one slot in your lineup. I'd rather just have the whole stack. The whole lineup is just out to the garbage. So you could kind of do that as a strategy. So let's go back to exposures without the Royals in it, and let's take a look at starting pitcher. We get a little bit more Grant Holmes now, but still the main culprits are Green, Sanchez, and then Cease. So maybe Cease is a little bit more of a contrarian option that's viable. Not many people are going to play him against the Yankees today. Then team wise, we still get Tigers, Twins, Orioles. Then we start getting a little bit of these other teams. So yeah. So I mean the Twins. I mean the Twins. It's not like the Twins are going to be unowned or anything like that. I mean the Twins. We have them as actually overowned today. But they have a 4.76 implied run total. They've a pretty good value wise, and they will until some of these guys get priced up a little bit more. So I mean I don't mind the Twins. The Orioles, maybe at a similar price. If we take a look at the Orioles projected starting lineup, the Orioles against the Twins. I mean, outside of like Mullins and Henderson, I mean, I don't mind playing bottom of the order hitters on road teams. So maybe playing a Kobe Mayo, right? If you watched the Riders Live this morning for the early slate I was on, and we ranked Mayos. So maybe for the bit, I play an Orioles stack with Kobe Mayo in it. First base, third base eligible, 2,200. You put him in a stack, right? You could play that with a Mountcastle, with then you could pay up for Mullins and Henderson. Probably play Henderson more so. Rushman at 4,700. Let's see what these lineups look like. These Orioles lineups. We find a lot of Twins. Here's an Orioles lineup, right? So we get Rushman, Mayo, Holiday, Henderson, Kjerstad, and then this is like a game stack. Green, Sanchez, Royce Lewis, Byron Buxton, Trevor Larnach, 5 Orioles. I do not mind this lineup at all, and you could save it. You could just click there in SimLabs. That goes to your save lineup section. All right, so you could look through these lineups. You could exclude, include. Right, this has Green and Sanchez in it, kind of a chalky combination. But I don't think the Orioles are going to be all that owned today. Obviously, Buxton and probably a decent amount of ownership as a one-off. The Twins will be owned today, but we could look for some more Orioles stacks, right? You could play some Tigers today. Obviously, in cores, I think some of these Tigers lineups are more likely to have Grant Holmes in it, right? So yeah, a lot of Twins, Tigers. And Orioles are here's one with Logan Hop, Royce Lewis, Jorge Soler. Then you're playing Kjerstad, O'Hearn, Henderson, Holiday, Mountcastle. Take a look at players. We could actually sort. Well, not kind of sort. Say like what Orioles were more likely to play: Rushman, Henderson, Mullins, O'Hearn, Holiday, Kobe Mayo. Maybe I prioritized Mayo. Right, it was Cinco de Mayo on Monday. So maybe because of that, be more inclined to play Mayo. There's obviously not a SimLabs take, but I mean, just kind of funny if after this morning show, make sure to play a Kobe Mayo lineup, and it's just the DFS gods know that they'll do it for the bit. We'll see. I don't know, but yeah, that's kind of what I see on today's slate. Not as much Phillies, not as much Reds. I mean, the fact that the Phillies and Reds, according to our top stacks tool, are like the 2 most under-owned stacks. I mean, but they're also very expensive. So I think it's more of a byproduct of price that they don't show up as much in SimLabs. But Baltimore's not that far behind, and I think I think the ownership won't really necessarily even be there. They have a 4.24 implied team total, which isn't like horrible or anything. So especially if that Kansas City game gets, I mean, it's you have to think of it in like 2 different avenues. Like if you're insistent on being contrarian today, you almost would rather the Royals play, right? Because all this ownership is going to get sucked into the Royals. The Royals just if we find out 2 hours from now they're PPDing it, well, obviously now this ownership is going to spread a lot more to other teams. And I'm not necessarily sure exactly where it's going to go. Probably a little bit more to the Twins, a little bit more to the Blue Jays, maybe. A little bit less so to the Orioles, but the Orioles will start picking up a little bit more ownership because all of that, I mean, Kansas City, maybe, pretty heavily, ownership-wise. You have the Royals and then probably the Tigers. There's a lot of ownership to go around when it comes to the Royals. So maybe if for an Orioles stack, I almost prefer that the game does play. Right? So maybe that should be the plan. And then if the game is like iffy, maybe then you do play the Royals, probably get them at an ownership discount. And if they don't play, you just get screwed on that day. And that's them's the breaks for GPP play. But yeah. So Royals, obviously top value stack, top stack overall, the Tigers. Even though Cincinnati and Philadelphia are here in the top stack still, just due to price, SimLabs really doesn't give you that much of it. Although you can play them. And then Grant Holmes, if you want to play a leverage stack, probably the Reds would be the leverage stack against Grant Holmes. And then pitching wise, SimLabs contrarian pitching option would be a Dylan Cease at 8K. So yeah, so this is kind of how you use SimLabs to do research for your lineups. Even if you're playing single entry, even if you're playing one lineup, you could do it here at RotoGrinders under the Combo Light package, which is our cheapest package. $29.99 a month. Get full access to SimLabs for MLB as well as NFL, NBA, PGA. Access to all of our research tools, including Plate IQ and Weather Edge, and all of our premium written content, just like Jesus Good's $1 Million Musings. He wrote stuff up for the early slate as well as today's main slate. He does it every weekday. And you also get the expert surveys, consensus value rankings, all that type of stuff. For one low price, click on that link in the description or go to rotogrinders.com/premium for more information. And give in to your AI overlords, as I said on this morning's show. I use SimLabs to make my lineups, so I think you should as well. And I'll be back next week for some more MLB SimLabs analysis here on RotoGrinders.com.